Gosh, I'm really taking a lot of notes from my cat. Today I found a spot in the sun and napped on the ground. Highly recommend it. Just eating and napping in the sun. Really, really great. Six of Wands. I think I had mentioned how I wanted to do more writing, and so I really had like stepped into writing and today, which was like a nice kind of follow-up of yesterday, and I like actually did the thing that I said I wanted to do.
Kind of love that you're even sharing that with me. Like, I think that that's some of the Six of Wands energy, which is sharing your successes with others, or like bowing down to and enjoying the togetherness of what can feel like a personal success, but you realize like it really took so many helping hands to get you to that moment.
Yeah, I was talking to Shauna yesterday, and she was talking about kind of what the experience that me and Chadwick went through with his illness, and how she was like, I just really look up to you guys, and I think that you really handled it with grace, and I'm just so impressed and so like honored to be like to see you go through it, and like to see how much strength you have, and which felt really, and I was like, you know, it felt really nice to get that compliment, because when you're in it, you don't really have much awareness of like of what it means to succeed in moments of that. So the Six of Wands for me brought up kind of like reaching milestones and wanting to share with others what that looked like and what that meant. And so for me, like getting to this side of quarantine, which is like, you know, Chadwick out of isolation and us back together, and just kind of finding like, you know, a rhythm and like a life here, like a little bit of a celebration of like, yeah, we got here. Like that's a big thing.
Which I imagine is part of like what the collective is experiencing in all of their myriad of ways, right? That we have been going through initiation, through exile, through darkness. There's a lot of fears that are coming up. Some of us are thriving, and some of us are thriving in like small pockets of our lives. And maybe that's part of what this is about too, is like celebrating the thriving.
There's not a lot of time to be anything but my authentic self, it feels like. Getting really positive encouragement from everyone around me to live authentically and believe in who I am, and to like to see and celebrate the achievements and the accomplishments that we do every day. Like that's one thing that I think has been nice to see on social media and with friends and family and online, is like people being like, awesome, you did your 20-minute workout, like that's all you did today, great, like you made bread today, you got out of bed and you taught your children, like you know, went for a walk, like just these like small achievements. Because you know, we've talked about how there's so much that I think we tend to focus on, like the hustle and like these big things, like what did you innovate and what did you create and how's your business doing, and you know, how's your entrepreneurship, and what's the next big thing that you're doing. It's like a very I associate like a very American like hustle and grind mentality. That's, I think we kind of are given permission right now to just, you know, set that aside, and the small accomplishments are celebrated by everyone, and that's like really refreshing for me.
Yeah, me too. I wonder if there's also something in this too of like, we're in this together, we will do this hard thing together. And it's celebrating the mask donations and the mask making, and it's celebrating the staying at home. You stayed home for 14 days. You didn't go out. Oh my God, I'm so amazed. That's like, yes. Like, because in a way, we don't stop this unless we do it together.
This is a global crisis, and we're all experiencing it one way or another. And so whether or not we talk about it or share about it or not, like you can get on the phone and not necessarily talk overtly about it and be like, how are you doing? And the other person's like, knows what you mean by that, even if they're in a different country.
I think this kind of gets at too,
Yeah.
which is where I think the edge of power of this card is, which is that we're all in this together. Can we tap into that energy and use it for good? Use it for prayer, use it for healing. Can we light a candle at our altars and, or even just, mentally visualizing our hearts as these golden lights, and then thinking about how we are all these nodes of pillars of light, and how can we connect and weave those lights into some magic, into some healing, into some birthing.
Yeah.
It feels very spring energy too. Very like, what are you creating? What is dreaming you?
Yesterday you were talking about this card as a lot about, sisterhood or community and people supporting people. And I think that can look like a lot of different ways. And I think also for me, it's been helpful to acknowledge that I don't always have it in me to do I don't have a lot in me, so where I often go to think of, what's this, how can I create something that's going to like support everyone, and what brings meaning to these dark times. And I like what you said about, whether it's a visualization or a prayer or just like a short phone call or a text message that's really positive, and just these moments of connection, even if they're small and even if they're not every day. I think reaching out to everyone and anyone is in just small ways is so supportive right now.
I was thinking also having greater clarity on like those who you don't really need to or want to connect with.
Right.
I just don't have time for people who make me feel small. I don't have time for people who don't make me feel good. And the whole point of this is to connect with that aliveness and joyness that's I experience so much through like connecting and being in circle or community with other people.
Kind of, this is on the other side of the Five of Wands, where you've come through kind of, harder, chaotic times, and the sense of achievement and accomplishment. The card that you shared, I like that really visualizes the community sense of it. But I also like the Rider-Waite imagery, where it's like, kind of knight on a horse, and he's just, it's this accomplishment, because I have a tendency of not giving myself any credit and being like, oh, it wasn't that hard. Oh, other people were there to support me. And so for me, to some extent, it gives me permission to say, no, you personally had a lot of hardships and you personally came out of this successful. Like you can give yourself a moment to pat yourself on the back.
But I so appreciate your perspective here, because I also struggle with that a lot. And I think that well, and right now I hear a lot of people saying, oh, my suffering is not as bad as others, or my pain
comparative
is not,
suffering.
Yeah, exactly. And really the truth of the matter is, if you are suffering, you are suffering. And I like this idea of appreciating and celebrating, like, as much as we ignore our suffering and our negative narratives inside our brains are telling us we're not worthy of what we desire, and then when we do get something that we did work hard for, like our wellness, like our ability to like snuggle with our sweetheart because they're feeling better, or like in our case, like rejoining our households together, like, this is our thing, right? Like, I did this. I've always thought of that card as being a Pyrrhic victory, which is that there was significant loss in obtaining this victory. Like, he literally doesn't have a horse. Where's his horse? And is he not on a horse because it's a parade, or is he not on a horse because he doesn't have his horse anymore?
Wait, who?
The guy in the Six of Wands who's in the picture.
Is he not on a horse? He's on a horse.
Well, it looks like a horse, but if you look closely, it's like a blanket over some people, like, you know, like a Chinese dragon or something. It's not a real.
Really?
I don't think it's a real horse.
No, it looks like a horse.
But
I never thought of it.
But look
not
at the
as a
body.
Horse.
It doesn't look like the real body of a horse.
Oh, that's so interesting. I never thought of that. How do I open this?
It's a symbolic. But death, I think, is actually a key part of the Six of Wands, because, you know, you're coming from the Five of Wands, which is multiple perspectives and multiple ways of doing things. And now you come out with one on top in the Six. What happened to the five other ones, right? There's something about, like, there is loss here in this victory, in this moment of I did it, which honestly is also very relevant to right now. That there is a lot of death alongside surviving.
Yeah, and inevitably I think we'll all come out of this different people.
Song to me today, to